The play that Meghan and Harry are in is an open declaration of war against the other half of the United Kingdom, because, in this version, lies are the law. The untruth that branded a large portion of British citizens as racist was delivered with all the subtlety of a sledge. You are cordially invited back to the YouTube channel covering the latest developments involving UK royal news trends. The first few minutes of Harry and Meghan's Netflix complaining marathon were about as predictable as I could have hoped. The story of their love's triumph over insurmountable odds was interspersed with attacks on the corrupt British press and the palace's shadowy backers. Things went as expected, making them rather dull. However, after that, an odd event transpired. In the first episode, the unexpected happened in the first 3 minutes. "The stakes here are much bigger than us," Harry proclaimed. A graphic showing protesters from the Black Lives Matter movement in the year 2020 pushing a statue of a 17th century slave trader, Edward Colston, into the Bristol harbour appeared on the screen. A well-known voice was broadcast over the footage. Boris Johnson, presumably while campaigning for Vote Leave in 2016, urged his supporters to take back control of this country in the wake of the EU referendum. Oh my goodness, excuse me. What does Megxit have to do with Brexit and the movement for Black Lives? The last 10 minutes of the second episode returned to this theme, during a time when this fairy tale was embedding itself in a nation that was having a pretty toxic debate about the European Union. TV historian David Olusoga commented on the couple's engagement in 2017. The film then cuts to more archival footage of Boris yelling, "Take back control," in front of a Vote Leave bus, and of the then UKIP leader Nigel Farage declaring that immigration is the number one issue. People are very upset. Then Olusoga got on topic, telling us that immigration was the driving force behind Brexit. As proven conclusively by social media, that great resource, immigration is very often a cipher for race in this country, he continued. A random clip of some dummy shouting, "Get back to Africa," served to illustrate this point. Whoever you are and whoever you are shouting at, whatever you say, David, over and over, the same tired argument was made that racism and Brexit were linked inextricably. Harry makes a pointed comment about how a 2016 EU Commission report came out exactly at the same time that our relationship became public, referring to a moment when he and Meghan made their relationship public, and he made a quote from that report. Wait, what? You may be the center of your own universe, Harry, but I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. The blossoming romance between you and your girlfriend has absolutely nothing to do with EU-UK relations. Then, James Holt, the head of the Archwell Foundation and a former media director for the Liberal Democrats, chimed in to back his employers, saying that Brexit gave people with really horrible views of the world a little bit more strength and confidence to say what they wanted to say and to do what they wanted to do. Professor Olusoga, however, has the last word, and he brings Harry and Meghan back into the absurd theory. According to him, Britain was trying to live out this fairy tale story at an inauspicious time, with this fairy tale princess and this diverse modernizing country. The propaganda came fast and furious, with its usual Netflix gloss that gives everything an air of veracity. Once one takes a step back, however, it becomes clear that these assertions are both outrageous and completely bonkers. We've all heard by now about the racist British press and the ruthless palace, as Team Sussex has claimed. It's an interesting theory, to say the least, that Brexit Britain is a racist backwater where the couple couldn't stand to live. This outlandish claim, which can be summed up as Brexit caused Megxit, is central to the new Movie Central's theme of globalization. It's clear that Harry and Meghan agree with the Guardianista establishment and the woke New York Times elite that Brexit is a catastrophe that must be overturned someday. Furthermore, the film implies that Megxit is to blame on Brexit as well, since the latter is responsible for all of Britain's ills. It goes without saying, though, that this is false. The majority of the 17.4 million British people who voted to leave the EU did not do so because of racism. Netizens probably don't need me to remind them, but this vote was overwhelmingly about reclaiming authority over our laws and currency and ending our dependence on the stifling bureaucracy of the European Union. It's important for Harry and Meghan to know that Brexit and its politics had nothing to do with the effort to prevent a glamorous mixed-race American actress from marrying into the royal family. That much is without doubt. And the Netflix filmmakers fall flat on their faces when they try to defend their loony theory, which is riddled with contradictions and double standards. Given that the third episode takes place in 2018, 2 years after the Brexit vote, it's hard to believe that white, often elderly faces lined the streets to celebrate the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Even Archewell's James Hobbs concedes that the event's sense of excitement was incredible and it was worth every penny of the £32 million spent on it by the taxpayers. Even more revealing is the fact that Olusoga turned to social media in search of proof of his absurd claim that Brexit caused Megxit. Netflix scours the internet and displays disgusting social media posts where people call the Duchess names like B and K, as if those epithets were specifically reserved for her. A quick look at any of these turds will reveal daily, often an anonymous barrage of hate speech directed at every woman in the public eye, regardless of her race, religion, or sexual orientation. The aggressively pro-Meghan Twitterati have certainly coalesced, and they're now raining equally ugly insults on the Princess of Wales. And what about these talking heads that Netfield trots out to supposedly offer expert analysis? David Olusoga, who occasionally posts online musings about systematic racism in the UK, has been an unspoken critic of Brexit Britain. He made this claim about Boris Johnson's Conservatives before the 2019 election, calling it fantasizing about Empire 2.0. Afua Hirsch, another character in the film who criticizes Great Britain, is just as biased when she uses the Empire 2.0 line. She has claimed that Black Britons are openly chased in the street by white racists and questioned whether Nelson's column should continue to stand in Trafalgar Square in her commentary for the Remainer Guardian newspaper. Whereas Ms. Hirsch is typically vocal in her support for the cancellation of public figures for even the most minor historical speech crimes, she seems surprisingly willing to forgive and forget Harry's own checkered history, which famously includes dressing up in a novelty Nazi costume and calling an Asian army colleague a Baki. These traitorous historians make the entire history of Britain sound like a series of atrocities committed in the name of racism. Recollections may vary, as our late Queen so wryly put it in response to some of the more outlandish claims made by Meghan in her now infamous interview with Oprah Winfrey last year. Harry and Meghan have obviously appointed themselves as woke persons for this hysterical cause by promoting the ludicrous suggestions by Olusoga and Hirsch that Brexit Britain is a racist swamp. However, by doing so, they've dragged in a large number of decent British citizens in what began as a childish argument with their loved ones and an imagined slight against the media. Now, it's not just about the terrible royals, the bad media, or Meghan's dad. For all the millions of people who voted for Brexit, this is a story about them. Meghan claims in her new ridiculous film that she was typecast as a typical Hollywood actress because of the Windsors. That's why it's so perplexing that she and her husband have no qualms about painting a broad caricature of half the population of Britain as a bunch of racist thugs. Yes, and you? Your thoughts on this Netflix show, please. Just leave a comment with your thoughts and we can have a nice little chat about it. If you enjoyed our video today, please consider giving it a like and sharing it with your friends who could use some encouragement round about now. If you're interested in hearing more from our UK Royal News Trends news staff, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching and say goodbye until the next video.